Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Practical Marketing Tips for Small Law Firms, where we interview industry experts about proven, used today attorney marketing strategies. I'm your host, Cara Pryor. I'm the president of James Publishing. I'm also the founder of our marketing amplifier system. And I spend most of my time really strategizing with lawyers on how to improve their marketing results. And today we have an extra special guest with us. I've been following this guy's work for a long time. It's a big deal to have him on our show. I'm excited to welcome RJon Robbins. He's the co-founder of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. RJon is an absolute expert on how to start, manage, and certainly grow a successful small law firm. He has years and years of frontline in the trenches experience, really helping attorneys dramatically improve their firm's marketing, their sales, management, and just sort of overall finances. So How to Manage a Small Law Firm helps to manage more than 500 of the fastest growing, some of the most profitable solo and small law firms in the country. His advice is always spot on, always direct. Welcome, RJon. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks. And I've been a fan of yours for quite a while too. And I'm excited that we're finally getting to do this.
Excellent. Yes. Well, we certainly appreciate it. So we're going to dive right in, kind of get to the meat like we always do. And today we're talking about how to work less and profit more. Work less, profit more. Specifically, we're going to cover the top ways to run a more successful law firm, right? So RJon, kind of before we get into the specifics, what do you find is really kind of that main hurdle that's holding small law firm owners back from taking their firm to the next level? What do you see?
The number one thing that in my experience, and I've been doing this since 1999, right? And I've worked with tens of thousands of solo and small law firms, all different practice areas, all different walks of life, men, women, tall, short, some are left-handed, some are right-handed, some, even like pistachio ice cream, but we won't hold that against them, right? All kinds of things, all different backgrounds. And the number one thing that in my experience, prevents lawyers from growing their law firms significantly faster than they do. The number one things that cause lawyers to settle for slow, painful, not very profitable incremental growth is that they don't believe that it's actually possible to have the kind of results that you and I see every day. So like what you and I consider normal, most small law firm owners, they don't even believe that it's possible. So consider this. The average, the AmLaw 200, which is the 200 largest law firms in the country by volume. The AmLaw 200 grows at an average rate of 2%. The average small law firm in this country grows at a rate of only 5%. Our members and law firms that How to Manage a Small Law Firm is managing, law firms that are doing business with you. I mean, if they're not growing 20, 30% year on year on year on year, it's like something is seriously wrong here. Like we are like figuring out what's going wrong here. But if you don't know anyone who's growing their law firm that fast, if the only people you know who are growing their law firm at that rate are doing it by blind luck, which means they inevitably get unlucky and fall on their face. If the only way you know how to run your law firm, it's like if the only way you know how to drive your car is in first gear and you can only go 20 miles an hour in first gear, and someone says, hey, why don't we go 40 miles an hour? You're like, oh my God, I don't want to work twice as hard as I'm working now. Well, you don't have to. You could switch to second gear. And then you're going at 40 miles an hour and someone says, hey, let's go 60 miles an hour. I don't want to work 50% harder than I am now. Guess what? You could actually work less, profit more. It's the theme of the day by switching gears. So the problem is they don't even believe that it's possible. And so they never even take the initiative to find out and to investigate, and they become trapped by their unverified, uninvestigated, non-analyzed assumptions.
Yeah, I mean, without those examples, without those colleagues, without those mentors, you make such a good point. Why would you even start, right? You would have no idea that it's even possible. So you talk a lot about kind of exposing this doctrine of sacrifice, right? That teaches lawyers that sacrifice is not the means to the end, but rather, sacrifice is the end, basically, right? So many of the attorneys I speak with think the only way out is, or certainly the only way to grow, is to kind of grind it out, put in longer hours, miss family events, dedicate every waking hour to their firm. Is that the path forward?
No, to build a successful law firm, you have to be willing to do hard work. But you shouldn't be like looking for ways to make the work harder, right? But if you've already made up your mind, if you've already decided that the only way to do this is to work your ass off all day long, if you've already made up your mind and decided that that's the only way to do it, well, then you're just going to go through life with these blinders on, and you're not going to see all the different ways that it could be done better. Because here's the thing, law firms generate revenue as a byproduct of helping more people, right? So gross revenue is a very reliable predictor of how much help a law firm has given, how much value the law firm has given to its clients, right? $1 million law firm, all things being equal, is helping twice as many people as a $500,000 law firm. A $500,000 law firm, all things being equal, is producing twice as much value as a $250,000 law firm. Just like a $2 million law firm is doing twice as much good for twice as many people, or twice as much good for the same number of people as a $1 million firm. That's gross revenue. Profit is a function of how efficiently your business delivers that benefit to its clients, right? So if the only way you know how to double the revenues is by working twice as many hours, and you don't know from leverage, and no one's ever taught you how to sit down, no one's ever taught you how to sit down and document processes, policies, systems, procedures, key performance indicators, how to build a really simple dashboard using paper and ink and a ruler, which is what my first dashboard was, to hold people accountable against objective metric. If no one's ever taught you how to get leverage on your efforts, on your creativity, well, yeah, it's like when you were a kid. Remember when you were a kid and you rode the bike with no gears, and the only way to go faster was to pedal harder, and then you got like a 3-speed or a 10-speed, and you realize, wait a second, this actually, I can go farther, I can go faster, I can work less hard and get more done. That's what leverage does. But if you've already made up your mind that the only way to do it is to work harder, well, then you don't go looking for better opportunities.
Yeah. So, we're talking about a pretty fundamental shift, mindset shift, right? This is something that, attorneys, so often they say, I'm afraid of change. How do I start? I've been operating this way for 20 years. I'm sure you hear that too, RJon, but, when we talk about specifics, let's get into a little bit more specific. So how critical is a business plan when we're talking about law firm growth? Many will make that most of the lawyers I talk to do not have a formal business plan of any kind. And those who do really, haven't dusted it off in quite some time. So business plan, getting down to
right.
the
So this is the question that got me uninvited to bar associations all over the country, literally. When I was, so Microsoft, LexisNexis, LawPay, Ruby Receptionist, they sponsored me on a national CLE speaking tour back in 2010, 11, 12, and part of 2013. And this is the question that got me uninvited back to lots and lots and lots of bar associations, right? The question goes like this. So you got to just imagine, see, Kara, your audience is better than the average bear, right? Your audience is, they're smarter. Let's face it, they are smarter than most law firm owners. They are more open-minded. They are more creative. They are more ambitious. They're better. They're more mature entrepreneurs than the average struggling small law firm owner who's taking pride in how much they're suffering and taking pride in how much they're sacrificing So you got to just imagine that this question is being posed to a pretty cold audience who came to a CLE event to get some CLE on how to make more money and how to grow their law firm. And the question is, what's the business of a law firm? And the question, the answer that I would get all over the country, thousands of people would, they confuse the job of the lawyer. They think that the business of the law firm is to protect people's rights. It's not. They think that the business of a law firm is to get people justice. It's not. They think it's to take care of clients. It's not. They confuse the job of the lawyer with the business of the law firm, right? The business, what's the business of a hotel? It's to rent rooms, right? Ritz-Carlton, Motel 6, they're both in the same business. They're both in the business of renting rooms. They use different strategies. They use different tactics. They have different pricing models, right? They have different capitalization needs, but they're in the same business. They're both in the business of renting rooms. The business of a restaurant is to sell food, right? The Ruth Chris Steakhouse and the Denny's, they're both in the same business. They obviously have different strategies. The business of a law firm begins and ends with the sale and delivery of legal services. That's the business of the law firm. The business of the law firm is to market, to bring prospective clients to the door, the right kind of prospective clients in the right quantity, with the right frame of mind, pre-qualified, pre-educated, preconditioned to want to engage the services of your firm. The job of the business of the law firm is to systematically convert those prospective clients into paying clients, and then to use processes and systems and procedures to efficiently and effectively and predictably and reliably and profitably produce the work that the marketing and the sales has sold to the client, and then to use processes and systems and procedures and job descriptions so we can get leverage off of employees to follow the procedures that we created to get the work done, and then to manage the finances so we make a profit. The business of the law firm is to sell, is to market, sell, and deliver quality legal services to get people results. But people confuse the job of the lawyer with the business of the law firm. Okay, so far, the Bar Association, everyone's like, but they don't hate me yet. Right now, they're just uncomfortable. Here's where they hate me. Where they hate me, we're 2 steps away from where they hate me. The next step is when I say, okay, how many of us, and you'll notice my hands are behind my back, how many of us would invest in any kind of a business that was being run? Let's talk about a restaurant. Who would invest in a restaurant being run by the world's greatest chef? Everyone loves this chef's cooking. He's hardworking. She cares. They are the best cook in the world, but there's no marketing plan for how customers are going to find the restaurant. There's no sales plan for how we're going to make reservations, how we're going to seat people, how we're going to get them to come back repeatedly for more business, refer their friends. There's no recipes for how the meals are supposed to be cooked when the world's greatest chef isn't there 24/7 7 days a week. There's no cost controls. We don't know what the cost of ingredients are going to be. We don't have any inventory control system. There's no documented processes or systems or procedures for how all the different jobs in the restaurant are supposed to get done. It's just the world's greatest chef who loves to cook and is willing to work real hard. No one in the world would ever invest in that restaurant. And everyone in the bar CLE goes, well, of course not. And I say, why not? And they say, because it would obviously fail. Great. Well, how many of us, me included, opened up our law firm, my hands up, without a written business plan? No marketing plan for how our law firm was supposed to bring in the right kind of clients. No sales system for how we're supposed to convert those clients into paying clients consistently, predictably, reliably, profitably, ideally by someone who's not you, the owner of the firm, so that the firm can keep converting prospective clients into paying clients even when you're away for a month at a time with emergency access only. No documented processes, systems, procedures, no recipe book, right? And everyone's like, well, but the law firm is different. Well, how is it different, right? And what is it called? And this is what gets me disinvited. This is the question. I say, what is it called when you induce an investor to invest their time, their energy, their money, their reputation, credit, and other resources into a business that you're starting that you know or should know is basically doomed for failure. What is it called when you induce someone into that? Anyone here, civil litigator, any bankruptcy attorney, someone eventually spits up, it's called fraud in the inducement. And I will have them walk through the prima facie case of fraud in the inducement. And I basically map out for them what we did, myself included, is we fraudulently induced our families to invest in our businesses when we knew or should have known that we really had no idea how the business was going to operate. And it's also fraud in the inducement when you induce a client to sign an engagement agreement. You see where I'm going, and this is what gets me uninvited, right? When you induce a client to sign an engagement agreement with your firm where you commit to provide services, right? And you withhold material facts, that's called fraud in the inducement. And they go, well, it's not fraud in the inducement. Really? Well, why don't you say to your client, listen, before you sign that engagement agreement, I just need to disclose a few things to you. Number one, I don't have a marketing plan that tells me where my clients will be coming from in 6 months. And so I don't know how I'm actually going to be in business in 6 months. I don't have any documented processes and systems and procedures. It's all up here in my head. And I can't promise you that this work will keep getting done if something happens to me or my family. Number three, I don't have any financial controls in this law firm. I don't know what my cost of goods sold are. I don't know what my profit margins are. I don't have any financial controls to really manage the business of this law firm. And I have no job descriptions to hold the staff accountable who you see running around here. But if you're okay with that, full disclosure, here, by all means, sign the engagement agreement and we'll get to work. And they all say, well, the client would never sign the engagement agreement if they knew all of that. Why not? Because it's a material fact, which you're withholding, which makes it fraud in the inducement. At which point they all write either a 5 or a 1 on the comment cards. This is the greatest presentation ever, or this is the biggest asshole we've ever seen in our life. How dare he hold the mirror up to our face and show us what we're doing and show us that there's a better way that we could be running our business. And then, of course, I would show them all the things the rest of the day on how to fix it. But by that point, half the audience was like so freaked out. But your audience is better than that. That's why I accepted this invitation. So thank you for having me here. Please don't give me a 1, everyone. Give me a 5.
He needs 5s. No, but I mean, it really is. It is holding up that mirror, right? It's taking a look at, you know, the process, the lack of processes, right? The lack of just overall strategy, and really going along with that, RJon. I mean, so then we talk about the necessity of a business plan and having, you know, coordinated, systemized, you know, approaches to growing the firm. But what do you see happen when a solo law firm owner tries to be their own managing partner, do it all? Because I actually see this all the time. What's your experience there?
Before we get done, before I get to the answer, can I just make sure that we promise everyone that we will give them we will tell them the 7 main parts of the law firm, and we will not let this podcast end without giving you a few tips that you can use right away today to start making your law firm better. I promise you, there's one word that I will teach you how to use today that I promise you will make your life better and put more money in your pocket and make your clients happier, and your family will thank you for it too.
Yes.
So what happens when a person who's never studied marketing, a person who's never studied sales, a person who's never studied how to hire, train, manage, make a profit with staff, a person who's never trained how to document workflow processes, systems, and procedures, a person who's never made a budget before, handled financial projections, a person who doesn't know what cost of goods sold means, much less how to figure out what they are, a person who hasn't really analyzed the different approaches to pricing strategies. What happens when a person like that, person like I used to be when I started my law firm, Person who goes to undergraduate, having never studied marketing, sales, management, financial controls, staffing, anything like that. The person who goes to law school and doesn't study any of those things. What happens when a person like that starts a business and tries to be the CEO of the business, or a managing partner, as law firms like to call it? Well, the same thing that would happen if I tried to take a case to trial when I've never taken a case to trial before in my life. And I don't, I went to law school. I do have a bar license. I'm a member of the Florida bar in good standing, but I've never taken a case to trial. I'm certainly not going to try to take a complex commercial litigation case or a complex criminal defense case to trial. That would be crazy. And it would, so the law firm runs about the way you'd expect any business to run when it's being run by a well-meaning, hardworking, well-intentioned person who simply has no prior formal training or experience on the business of how to run the law firm. It struggles. And the sad thing is, because most law firms are being run exactly that way, these struggling law firm owners, they look around themselves, they say 5%, 4%, 6%, 4%, I'm at 5%, I guess I'm doing okay. It's like, imagine you're driving a car and you've got 4 flat tires, and you've never driven a car with air in the tires. And no one you know has ever driven a car with air in the tires. And everyone you know is driving a car with 4 flat tires. You don't even know how much better things could be. That's the thing that's so sad, is they don't even know how much better things could be. And if they would just put some air in the tires, everything would be so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's get into, so you alluded at some specific practical tips. Let's get into that. What can you share with our audience that can really help them move in this direction that we're talking about?
Okay, let's start off with a marketing plan. All right. This is what's missing from most marketing plans. Number one, be honest with yourself about how much, what we call total owner benefits, the business needs to produce in order for you to live the way you want to live. The house you want to live in, the car you want to drive, the vacations you want to take, the education you want to provide for your children, help you might want to provide for your parents or elderly people in your family, charitable donations, whatever you want, domestic services, savings, invest. How much does it cost to live the way you want to live? Let's just say, for argument's sake, it costs $100,000 to live the way you want to live. And I know it costs more than $100,000 for everyone to live the way we want to live, but I'm using that as a simple number to illustrate a point. So if everyone would just write down total owner benefits, TOB, $100,000, okay? And now let's assume that the law firm is going to run at a total owner benefit margin of, let's just say, 25%, right? So 25% of every dollar collected goes to total owner benefits. So we take $100,000 divided by 0.25, 100 divided by 0.25 equals $400,000. See that? That means the firm has to gross $400,000. Now you have a hard target. It's no longer as much as I can get, the more the better, please more, please more, please more. No, it's now, we have a hard target, $400,000. You take your total owner benefit, you divide by your total owner benefit profit margin, and that gives you your gross revenue target. So we have $400,000. So let's say your average case value is $4,000. Again, just to make the math easy, average case value is $4,000, right? $400,000 divided by $4,000 means we need to open and close 100 cases per year. Well, if we need to open and close 100 cases per year, that means we need to figure out our staff ratio to handle 100 cases. That means we know how much office space we need. That means we know how much computing power we need. That means we know how many desks we need. That means we know how many software licenses we need. That means we know how many pamphlets we need from James Legal Publishing to give to our 100 clients so they know what's going on, right? So then we take our case, and by the way, people are like, well, I can't tell what my average case value is. That's impossible to tell. It's all over the place. That's a giant red flag. If you have no idea what your average case value is, that's a giant red flag. Here's how you figure out your average case value. How many cases did I close last year? How much gross revenue did I collect? Divide the number of cases into the gross revenue you collected, and that's your average case value. You might not like the number, but that's the number, right? There might be some higher, some lower, but if you closed 100 cases last year and you collected 100,000 and you collected $400,000, it means your average case value was $400,000, was $4,000. So we're just reversing it. $400,000 gross divided by average case value of $4,000 means you have to open and close 100 cases a year, which tells us a lot about what we need to do for staffing, for office space, and everything else. Okay, now, next question. What is your conversion rate? If you meet with 10 clients and you convert all 10 prospects into paying clients, you have a 100% conversion rate. If you meet with 10 prospects and you convert 5, it means you have a 50% closing rate. If you meet with 10 and you convert 3, it means you have a 30% closing rate, right? Again, you look at your calendar, you see how many prospects did I meet with. Don't cheat, don't lie to yourself, don't protect your ego by deceiving yourself. Be honest. If you met with a prospective client and before they opened their mouth and said, I'm crazy, you were thinking, I might want to hire, I might want to work with this person. If you had a meeting to meet with a prospective client, you count it. Don't cheat. All right. So let's just say you have a conversion rate of 33%, 1 out of 3. Okay. So that means we take 100 cases that we have to open and close, divided by 0.33, means we need 300, what we call at bats. Got it? Now your marketing has a goal. You have to get 300 prospects to schedule and show up for an appointment. You convert that at 1 out of 3. That gets you 100 new cases or matters with an average case value of $4,000. That means the firm grosses $400,000. You run the firm at some level of efficiency at 25% total owner benefits margin, which is just numbers that I picked for this example. And boom, there's your $100,000 to live the way you want to live. This is a business plan. This is a financial model. This is a business plan. This answers the question of how much gross revenue do we need? This answers the question of what our staff ratios need to be. This tells us how many prospects we need to meet with every year. 300 divided by 12 means we got to meet with 25 a month. 25 a month means we need to meet with, divided by 46 weeks a year, means 300 divided by 46. We need to meet with roughly 7 a week. It could be 1 a day, it could be 2 a day, twice a week. But this tells us everything we need to know about whether the firm is going to help you achieve your financial goal to live the way you want to live. Everyone watching this can do it. I'm happy to send you the formula, but there it is. Doesn't even require a computer, and I'm terrible at math. I just did it with a simple calculator.
Well, I mean, without those hard targets, I mean, how are you expected to set any kind of goals, right? And yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's the norm, right?
That's how they do it.
It really is, yeah. So
that's why they fall for so much BS that's given to them by so many of these BS marketers, yeah. These so-called marketing gurus.
Just going there, yes, exactly, yeah.
That's why they fall for it.
Yeah, right. Because if you have no direction, I mean, that's why so many of the law firms that I talk to, they're on their 3rd, 4th, 5th digital marketing agency, right? They're just really going in blind. They don't know what to expect. They don't know, if they don't have a goal, then, it's obviously impossible to kind of strategize.
One of the biggest frustrations we have with new members when they first join, when they first engage our services, we run them through a 12-week, pretty intensive crash course. And it's not unusual for them to grow the revenue a lot, even in the first 90 days. And they get so worked up on marketing, where am I going to get business from? And we do the marketing at the end of the 12 weeks. And they're always freaking out like, I need that. It's like, listen, the best way to ruin a poorly managed business is with great marketing, right? Because if your firm can only handle 100 cases a year, what's the point of getting you 200 cases? It's going to implode your business.
Yep. So when we, because I hear the same thing, more leads, more leads, more leads. Where do I get, more prospects, with very little focus on kind of qualifying those leads or kind of reverse engineering the whole process so that we know kind of where we're going. But let's fast forward, right? We have.
Can I say something that you and I were talking about a while ago that I think we should mention here? Because you and I were both kind of, I'll call it, we were venting. We weren't venting. We were something else, but we weren't venting. We were venting about, like, geez, instead of doubling the leads, which means you spend twice as much money on marketing, which means you spend twice as much time and energy meeting with prospective clients, which means you spend twice as much time and energy apologizing to your family for not being there at home for dinner because you were busy meeting with some crazy person who you didn't want to have as a client in the first place. Wouldn't it be better to, like, plug the hole in the bottom of the bucket? Let's increase your conversion rate before we increase the stuff we're putting into the top of the bucket.
Right.
But no, just give me more, give me more, give me more. It's crazy.
Yeah, filling those gaps. I mean, there is so much opportunity in filling those gaps because so many of those leads that come through, if you're not following up with those folks who maybe aren't signing right away, and you're just ignoring, all of that low-hanging fruit. I mean, there is.
You know why?
There.
Because they're stupid. They're stupid clients, and that's why they didn't hire me, because they were too stupid to recognize how great my firm is and how great I am. And because they're stupid and I have to protect my ego, and I take it personally that they said no, because of course I don't know how to actually sell legal services, and I'm selling myself and my reputation and how great I am and my credentials. And so when they say no, I just take it so personally because I'm selling the wrong thing. And so why would I follow up with someone who's already insulted me by saying no, when it's got nothing to do with you in the first place?
Yeah. Well, what are some of those gaps that you see, RJon, that could kind of easily be filled? Those holes, either marketing or management holes that, could really be filled with the right attention and the right strategy.
Right. So, I mean, I could talk management all day long, but since this is marketing, we'll stick to marketing. Number one, get clear on who your right client is and get clear on who your right client is not, right? Marketing is designed to do two things, and most people don't understand the second part, which is unfortunate for them. Marketing is obviously designed to attract the right kind of prospective clients. But marketing is also designed to be a shield to protect you and protect your staff from the wrong kinds of clients. And here's an idea: protect the wrong kinds of clients from wasting their time coming to see you, right? Because it's not like, I mean, they got to rearrange their schedule. They got to get someone to watch their kids. They might have to take some time off of work. They might have to juggle things around to drive across town to come and see you, when your marketing could have educated them ahead of time to let them know this is not the right place for you, as a matter of respect, to let them know that. So what we do when we have, so we work by referral only. So before we accept a new engagement, we ask our prospects to meet with one of our actual clients, a law firm that we're actually managing their law firm. We say, talk to one of our clients, learn what it's like to work with us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you like it, then they will refer you and introduce you to someone from my team who will talk to you about the particulars and the details. And then we send you our statement of values and philosophies, which it is by design meant to be a pretty polarizing document, complete with everyone's favorite policy. I mean, it's right there. Yeah. And if this isn't your cup of tea, you're not going to like working with us. Now, that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that we're not the right fit for you. And so I don't want to waste your time inviting you to attend a discovery day when we already know this isn't going to be a good fit. On the other hand, if there's a lot of people who read this and they're like, oh my God, finally, someone who gets it, who speaks my language. So marketing should be more polarizing. Most law firms are trying to avoid upsetting anyone.
Yeah.
And as a result, they don't excite anyone. So there's probably people on this podcast who are going to write to you and say, oh my God, Kara, that was the greatest podcast episode ever. RJon's great. How to Manage is great. Statement of Values is great. No Assholes Policy is great. This is wonderful. And I'm sorry I didn't ask you if I could show that, but there's probably going to be people who are going to write, Dear Miss Pryor, I was greatly offended by the use of the term asshole. My criminal defense clients, who I defend for axe murder, would never dare to use such language as that, right? They're not my people. I'm not their people. That doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make me a bad person. Just means that when they go to one of our live quarterly meetings and they're surrounded by 500 of our members who all speak this language. So number one thing is, it's not just don't be afraid. It's be excited about sharing your values and your philosophies and your what you stand for with your prospects, so that you help people select out of engaging your firm. Because for everyone who selects out of engaging your firm, 2 people are going to love it, and they're going to be your best clients long-term with long-term value. That's number one. Number 2, set up a pre-engagement glide path. Slow the process down. Criminal defense, DUI, this doesn't apply to that. But most other practice areas, you can afford to slow the process down. I did a yellow page ad for one of our members years ago. He asked me to design a yellow page ad. And the entire strategy of the yellow page ad was to get the person to put the yellow pages down, to disrupt the buying cycles. It had a big stop sign and it said, stop, don't hire our law firm. In fact, don't hire any law firm until you get our free report on the top 10 blah, blah, blah things, which I know you offer these kinds of things to your clients. This is one of the things I love about you and me. We speak the same language. Your clients can actually get these kind of reports from you, right? Slow the process down. Use that time to start pre-educating. Use that time to start preconditioning. Use that time to start answering their frequently asked questions, so that when they get to the appointment, they're already preconditioned and predisposed to want to engage your services, right?
Yep.
We have like an 85 or 90% conversion rate at the end of our process. And people are always like, that's so impressive. It's not impressive. We lose a lot of people in the beginning by design, because by the time they get to the end, they've already selected in, I'm all in, this is awesome, this is for me, or I'm out, this is not for me, which means you no longer need to have the world's greatest, most amazing person meeting with the prospective client. You can now have a non-attorney salesperson meeting with the prospective client, especially if you have a follow-up system in place. So what are you going to do when the person says no? They've got 5 objections. They're always the same 5 objections, right? Every practice area has the same 5 objections. You've heard these objections again and again and again and again and again. So what's the harm in having 5 different responses? And if you don't want to have 5, at least have 1. But don't just let those people who don't engage your services just disappear. It's not like they solve the problem on their own. We get people all the time who we'll push them and cajole them, and we'll beg them, and we'll arm twist, and we finally get them to pick up the phone and call all the people who met with the firm in the last 6 months. And a really big percentage of them still haven't solved their problem. They still haven't hired a lawyer. And now they're like ripe. And now they're like, you know what? You're right. I'm done screwing around. And it's just like, it's like dialing for dollars. It's like so easy. You can just pick up the money in your spare time.
Yeah, spot on advice, RJon. I mean, de-selling is just as important, right? So, I mean, you have to describe what kind of case are you looking for? Put that out there, create that exclusivity, and it will pay off. And it's really the easiest path forward. So All right. So before we kind of wrap up, RJon, HTM offers outside CEO, COO, CFO services. Why? Tell us a little bit more about what it's like being an HTM member.
It's glorious. It's magical. It's spectacular. But look, it starts off with the premise that your law firm is a business, right? And as a business, it needs to have someone doing the job of CEO. It needs to have someone doing the job of COO. It needs to have someone doing the job of CFO. And if you don't understand what the job of CEO, COO, and CFO is, like really understand it, don't be embarrassed. Just acknowledge that means I'm probably not qualified to be doing the job for the firm, right? So you're the president of the firm, and you have a CEO reporting up to you to make sure that there's a business plan with a marketing plan, with key performance indicators and measurements and metrics that you can hold your vendors accountable. And your CEO makes sure that there's a sales system for systematically, predictably, reliably converting prospective new clients into paying clients. And you manage that process by the numbers, so you know when it's working and when it's not working. And your CEO makes sure your business plan has documented workflow processes and systems and procedures with recipes so that the work can get done in a consistent, predictable, reliable way about 60% of the time. Because 20% of the time it's going to be better and 20% of the time it's going to be worse. And then you can manage the exceptions. But 60% of the time, it just goes according to plan. And then your CEO makes sure your business plan has documented job descriptions with key performance indicators and metrics that you can use to manage your staff. So you can be really, really brutal and ruthless on the problems, but not such an asshole to the people. Your CEO makes sure your business plan has financial controls, a 12-month forward-looking budget, cash flow projections, gross profit margins, work in process predictions, budget variance report that you look at every month, so you know what's working and what's not working by the numbers, objectively with data, not just based on your gut feeling, and proactively so you can make more confident, quicker decisions. Your chief operating officer is there to make sure that you've got documented processes and systems and procedures. I know I said that's part of what the CEO does, but the CEO does that part sort of at a cursory level, and the COO takes it much, much deeper. That's why we don't install the COO till revenues are over about $250,000 gross revenue. Then we also install the chief financial officer to make sure you're really getting proper information out of your bookkeeper. Most bookkeepers absolutely suck. I'm sorry to say this, but it's true. They don't give you a 12-month forward-looking budget. They don't give you a budget variance report. They don't give you cash flow projections. They don't give you work in process reports. They don't help you predict your revenues 6 weeks in advance and your expenses 6 weeks in advance, so you can match them all up so you can avoid cash crunches. Your CFO helps you do all of that. That's what we do. Plus, we create a community of like-minded, entrepreneurial, really intellectually generous, nice, cool, fun law firm owners. We really think of ourselves as entrepreneurs who own businesses that happen to be law firms. That's what we do.
I love that. I mean, I can't more highly recommend HTM services. Many of our Marketing Amplifier subscribers are also HTM members, and they just tend to be our most engaged, most growth-minded attorneys. So I really encourage you to reach out to learn more. RJon, how can they learn more?
And remember, I told you there was a word I was going to teach them to make their life better. So let's not forget that.
Yes,
that'll be quick.
Yes.
They can go to our website, howtomanage.com, howtomanage.com. If you already know a member of How to Manage a Small Law Firm, you'll be able to see a link and you'll have some language to say, please refer me to How to Manage. If you don't already know a member of How to Manage, you'll see a link and we'll be happy to introduce you. We've got members, we got law firm owners who have had so much success with us that they have volunteered to pay it forward and have, conversations with prospective new clients, law firm owners, to talk about their experience and help you decide if it would make sense for you to speak with someone from my team. So you got to go through a referral before you get to actually speak to someone from my team. And I have to say, I'm not just a little bit proud of the fact that our clients have had so much success with us that they're willing to do this for us and for others too. I think it's really very, very generous of them to pay it forward like that. And I take it as a huge compliment to the results that we get.
That says a
So
lot.
just go to howtomanage.com.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that definitely says a lot, RJon. Okay, so the word, what's the word?
Okay. So, every time you get disrupted, like you're in the flow, you're in the zone, you're really focusing on something and you get distracted, it takes about 20 minutes to get back your focus, right? So the average solo or small law firm owner is probably getting distracted in my experience at least twice a day. But let's just say they're like super disciplined. They're only getting distracted once a day. Yeah, right. Right? 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's 20, 40, 60, 80. It's 100. It's almost 2 hours a week down the toilet. 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week. And let's say they work 46 productive weeks a year, because there's 52 weeks in a year. Take out Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the major holidays. Take 2 weeks for a vacation. Take 2 weeks for life to just happen to you. You got 46 weeks. And you lose 2 hours a week to 20-minute distractions. That's 2 times 46. That's 92 hours a week. That's almost 2 full weeks a year down the toilet because of these distractions. So here's the way it goes. Your prospective or your client calls you, right? And they say, "Hi, I'd like to speak with Kara." And your receptionist says, either let me put you right through, in which case, boom, you're distracted. Or your receptionist says, "I'll take a message." Okay, so Kara, you call them back and you catch them right as they're about to try to drag their kid out of the car with the iPad, screaming and yelling, and they can't talk, and they say, "I gotta call you back." And then they call you back, and then you call them back, and it plays phone tag back and forth, right? All right. If you will define the word emergency, this is the definition of the word emergency. So I can read the definition of the word emergency for us. I lost my page. Well, I could. I have the definition of the word emergency defined.
Here, I got it. Ready?
Got it?
A serious, unexpected, and often dangerous situation requiring immediate attention.
Okay, well, I was talking about my definition of the
word. Okay.
Because you get to define the word emergency for yourself.
Okay.
Right? So, like, for example, emergency, anyway, you define what an emergency is for your practice.
Got it.
Right? So, is it an emergency if you're a family law attorney and your kid has been taken across state lines without your permission? Damn right, that's an emergency. I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing to jump up and save you, because that's an emergency. Is it an emergency when your spouse brings the kid back from visitation 10 minutes late and he's dirty? No, that is not an emergency, right? So you define what an emergency is, you define what an emergency is not, and you empower your team to use that definition to triage. And when you meet with your prospective new clients, after they engage your services, you say, "This is the manual for how to work with our firm. This is the definition of the word emergency. Do you agree to comply with this definition of the word emergency?" And if they say no, well, then don't take them as a client. If they say yes, now we agree on what an emergency is.
Smart.
Now, when they call your firm and they call the receptionist says, "Is this an emergency?" No, it is not. Okay. And your receptionist is trained to take a profitable message for you. A profitable message is where he or she gathers all the information you need so that when you call the client back, you can call the client back with an answer, as opposed to calling the client back to find out what the question is. And you save 20 minutes here and you save 20 minutes there. And next thing you know, instead of working 46 weeks a year, you're working 44 weeks a year. You have less stress. You're making more profit. And what was the theme today? Work less, profit more. That's how you do it, simply by defining the word emergency and using it to empower your staff and educate your clients.
Brilliant. I mean, that really is a game changer, right? I mean, that's great advice. So RJon, thanks again for sharing your not so conventional wisdom with us today. You are awesome as always. Everyone, be sure to join us for our next episode of Practical Marketing Tips for Small Law Firms, happening very soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.